Is it possible to change your life?
Today, we talked to Hildee Weiss, who started focusing on her health at 47 and now is an author.
As a health coach and a wellness coach, we ask the questions so you get the answers. Let's get started as we ask.
Wait, what?
Hi, Leah.
Comma. Hi.
I
All right.
am so excited to welcome our guest today.
Me
Uh,
too.
you want to do the honors of
Oh, well,
introducing her?
all right. Hildee Weiss is a wife, mother, and grandmother who found and embraced fitness and running at 46. Her published works span a range of topics from soap operas and parenting to pregnancy loss and fitness. In 2014, Hildee made the decision to prioritize her mental and physical health. She began her work and working out with her personal trainer and friend, Jeff you'll have to say his
General.
name,
It's
Yannaral,
it's
and her life hasn't been the same ever since. Hildee's book, Embracing My Inner Athlete, is due to be released by Library Tales Publishing on June 9th. Hildee has been sharing her fitness and running journey in her blog, You Want Me to Do What? Home dash dot blog. I love that name. You want me
I
to
did
do
too.
what? It's
well,
great.
that pretty much describes, um, the how things have gone, from the beginning because, when I started out, I was 46-year-old wife and mother of 5, and I really didn't have a
Hi.
whole lot of confidence in myself and my abilities, and when I made the decision to meet Jeff and start working with him as a personal trainer, I didn't have a whole lot of goals or aspirations of how that was going to go. I think it was just something that I realized that I would do for myself and, improve my health a little bit, improve my mobility and strength. And the way he will put it, if you asked him, is he saw that I lacked the self confidence, but he also
Oh,
saw a potential that with a little bit of molding and a little bit of pushing me to go outside my comfort zone and try things that he felt that I was totally capable, we could go from there. So
I'm
if you
writing
want
so many questions down
okay,
already as she's
okay,
talking about
yeah,
training. So
right. So do
that
you want
blog
me
title
yeah.
goes
It's
along the
really a
lines.
reaction. It's a
Yeah.
conversational kind of thing where, the first thing would be when he said, "You should sign up for a 5K." I had never even run a complete mile. Running was something that I wished I could do, but I didn't think I had it in me to do it, and I had so many reasons not to do it. But it was just something that I would, look outside my window and see people running on the street and kinda wish like, "Oh gosh, I wish I could do that." It looks so seamless and so enjoyable. I didn't think it was for me, but I did share that with Jeff when I met him, when he asked me, "What is, like, one thing that you'd like to do if you could?" So, he wound up sort of sneaking the running in with me. Part of our training sessions, he would have me on a treadmill and I'd be doing walking on the treadmill. And then he would have me do like a minute of jogging or running every few minutes. And
Hmm.
I think it was April of 2015. So this is almost a year of working together. He had said, I think you should do a 5K. So my reaction probably was somewhere along the lines of, you want me to do what? Like a 5K? Yeah, and then I did that 5K and I started running, and after a few months, he said, "Okay, I think it's time for you to push yourself with the distance and go for a 10K." And a few months after that, it was the idea of the half marathon, and there was
Oh,
Oh
wow.
also,
my
the
god.
Spartan races that I did, which was so out of my comfort zone because he did them all the time and he would talk about them and say, "Oh, you would love it." And I would look at him like, "Are you out of your mind? I'm not going to get all muddy and roll under barbed wire. I'll be the one that will come out with scratches all over me."
Right.
And I can't do that. It's like so beyond my comprehension. And I wound up doing it finally because he kind of wore me down. And uh, I'm so grateful that I had those experiences. I still can't believe I did them. And
Oh.
by the way, when we did the second Spartan together, I think I was like just so um in the moment with, getting through the race that when it was time to run over that
Finish
they
line.
have like a little field of fire. I actually ran right into the fire and burned the back of my leg. You're supposed to, like jump over it, which I did the first time, but that second time I kind of just like went right into it and burned my leg, but I just felt like such a badass. Like I'm a mom and I was a grandmother at the time. So it's like look,
For you.
it was so really out of my comfort zone to do something like that. And it was also sort of a test where I guess I had to go through in order to show myself that I am capable of doing these seemingly
Okay,
impossible
I
things.
wanna back up
Okay.
because I feel like we
Okay.
jumped into the middle of the
Yeah.
story,
Sorry.
and I wanna, slow down a little bit because there's a lot of important
Yeah.
points we need to hit.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm
I
go on.
I wanna ask you one question before we jump into what your life was like before and what motivated you to get with trainer. What are you proud of today? Did
Sure.
you
Yeah.
run today? Did you,
Yes. Today,
sleep in
this morning.
today? Did
No,
you work?
no. Oh, no, no. This morning, I was up and I got an invitation from Peloton to do a 20-minute walk workout with. It was a live class and it was for those people that are silver level. And I've gotten from to silver level since I bought my Peloton treadmill in August. So
What
I
does that
figured,
mean?
okay.
Does that mean, like, so
I
many
guess
you've done
I think if you do enough workouts, with walking and running, and I also have a spin bike. Um, I see it sometimes like on my profile that I'm silver, but I never really knew what it meant. But
Mhm.
I
Are you
got this.
silver?
I think I might be, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I
Because I think
never,
I got invited to
yeah,
something.
right. So I got this thing like to do John Hoskins class, and I decided, okay, I'll do it. But today it was my normal running day. I run usually about 3 times a week, and I I did a half hour walk workout first because I was up, way before at that 8 o'clock live class. And then I did the eight
Oh,
o'clock
wow.
live class. So I did 50 minutes of walking. And then once that was done, I did a run outside. I ran 4 miles. And
God, this is in one day. Today.
yeah, I went outside. Yeah, I ran through the Shaker
So you
Heights
walked,
area.
you were on the
I did,
treadmill,
yeah, I did about 50 minutes of walking
50.
and 50. Yeah, I mean, you know,
and then you did
I
a
put
class and you ran.
that included the class. It was
Oh,
50
okay.
minutes total of walking,
Oh my
and I took probably about a half hour to have some breakfast and stretch and get
Okay, so
myself
that was my
together.
second question. What did you eat today?
yeah, that was
For breakfast, I had a protein bar, and
okay.
uh, I made sure to drink. I had my 24 ounces of water, and I had um, my little iced coffee drink, and I went out for the run. And honestly, I thought that I might be a little tired from the walking. And I just figured, you know what? I'm just going to go according to feel, which is what I've been doing lately. And surprisingly, it was one of my faster runs of late. Um, but I really enjoyed it. I ran through we're in Beechwood and Shaker's in the next neighborhood. And there were some streets I had never been on. And I decided to go around there. And
You're talking about in
yeah.
Ohio.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
You
Yeah,
know what I thought was interesting you just said? You said, "I ran according to feel." I've
yeah.
never heard that ever. Have you,
Oh,
kinda? I've never heard anybody say, "I'm gonna go walk according to feel," or because normally, if you think about it, like, most people put a time limit. "I'm gonna go walk for 15 minutes. I'm gonna go walk a mile. I'm gonna go do 1.5. I'm gonna" but I loved the according to feel. That's, like,
I've come
just
a long way with that because I
okay.
think that when I started running, and this is gonna go on a whole other topic, um, once I got into it and I was running paces anywhere between like in the higher 8-minute pace and the 9s,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I think I for a few years, I started to get a little hard on myself with that, and
Okay, so
as I got a little s yeah. Mhm.
for reference, what does an average runner run? My
Oh, it's a very individual thing. So,
so like
it could be
15
10 minutes, it
minutes?
could be 11 minutes, it could be 16 minutes. I think it's
Oh,
really
okay.
like,
What's like a
y
fast
y
run?
oh my gosh, like my sons run in the 7 and 8 and it,
Okay.
ranges you know, a a few times a week, and they're running sometimes half marathon distances just, for the fun of it, and
Oh my, I can't fathom. This is blows my
yeah,
mind. It
yeah,
just
those days are over. The
okay.
half marathon pace is over for me, but, the according to feel is something that I think I've embraced and really, really, shifted with my mindset over the last maybe, like, 2 years because I just kept on comparing myself to where I was in the beginning, and I wasn't running those paces, and, I was 10 years older and my body was 10 years older, and I just wasn't that version that I was when I first started running, and I was really hard on myself, and I had to do a lot of deep thinking, a lot of conversations with Jeff where I had to stop thinking of something stop thinking of running as something that I had to do or feeling the pressure from it and the data from it,
That's
and putting that aside. And I try really not to look at my watch when I'm running, and it's now something that I get to do. That
okay.
shift in mindset has done everything. So, if I see an 11 as the first number, I'm okay. And if it's 12, like, so sometimes I'll do like a little bit easier pace and not push as much, but the effort is there as much as it would be if I was running, a few minutes quicker.
Okay,
I wanna
so
go backwards a
okay.
little bit,
That's what
sorry.
I was just gonna say. Go ahead, Connor, start.
I want to, talk about what made you decide to go with a trainer. What was your life like, and what made you finally say, "Okay,
No,
I just
let me
need
go
a
back up
change?"
before that.
Oh,
Before that.
okay.
So you have 5 kids. Okay, right? So while you were raising 5 kids, make me feel good about myself, please, even if it's a lie. Just kidding. Did you have time to do this when you had 5 kids?
Technically, yes. I mean,
Oh,
look,
good question.
they okay.
Or
So
good answer for me.
I'm going to reference this that when I actually started this, and I was 46. So my youngest child was 12, and my oldest daughter, who Mariapa,
Okay.
was 19. So they were all in school. So technically, once they left the house to go to school or I dropped them off at school,
Okay.
I technically had that time until I would pick them up. But I was also an active volunteer in the community.
Mm,
And there was always the calls, "Hey, mom, I forgot this. Can you come to school?" Or having just various things to do. But I didn't have a full time job. I didn't have a real hobby or a sport like a lot of my friends did. So I did have a little bit more flexibility with my
okay.
schedule.
So you did like, you're like me, like, I say, "I don't have time," but
No, I had the
I
time.
probably have
Yeah.
time. Okay.
Yeah, and I will tell you that, in my earlier 40s, I had started doing workouts in the house. I was doing the firm, I was doing the indoor walking workouts with Leslie
Okay.
Sandstone, and I had a whole closet full of DVDs that I was doing.
Okay.
So, that was taking up some of my time, and I will tell you, though, that I think when I started doing that, I was doing that because I was on Weight Watchers and I needed those activity points to sort of
Mhm.
counteract the eating. So
Oh,
so
Yeah.
yes.
we could get into that. So it's like the
Oh, remember
exercise
this?
that I was doing then was either a punishment or it was a reward while I was doing that.
Hmm. Did you
So
like exercising though? Did
I
you like
did.
it?
I
Okay.
I love the indoor walking workouts. And it's funny because when I met Jeff for the first time and he asked me what was I doing for activity, I proudly said I do indoor walking workouts. As I do anywhere between 3 and 7 miles in a day,
Right.
and he said that's great, but I wasn't getting my heart rate up because my weight at the time was, I was already at that point. I don't I think I was at goal. So I wasn't carrying extra weight, but
Your
so it
heart
wasn't
rate
really
wasn't
doing the same thing, those 7 miles of the indoor walking and the firm, like I had bought 3 pound weights. So I wasn't really like doing a whole lot for my strength.
Wait, how many
And it
weights
was
can
just,
you do now? What pound do you do now?
um, well, I mean, I have a whole basement gym set up and I do own pairs of even like 30 pounds, but
Oh,
if
wow.
I, I'll do with my
I
workout
would
kettlebell.
base.
So I can swing like a 25-pound kettlebell, 30-pound kettlebell, um, and I can do chest presses with, two pairs of 15-pound weights. I
Good
could
for
probably do 20,
you.
but we're, like we're a little careful, especially because I train virtually, so he's not there
Oh, you
in
do.
case,
Okay.
I wind up killing myself. So,
That's good to
uh,
know. So that's an
yeah,
option for some people, right? Like a virtual training.
absolutely. And that's something that happened because of COVID, because I
Oh,
used to
okay.
train with him at the JCC and I would come twice a week to train with him. And then COVID had shut down the gym and he actually had always wanted to go on his own and have a business. And right away he was doing virtual training with his clients. And I had had some things in my house that I had bought over the years, but within a very short time frame, I set up a whole gym. We had a TRX mounted on my ceiling, and I have a whole. I have a weight bench and
So you have it
battle
all.
ropes. I've got weights going from 3 pounds to 30 pounds, and
Kamna,
kettlebells, and
Kamna, you just started virtual training too, right?
I did.
And do
I
you
like it
like
a
it?
lot. I
Yeah.
like it so much better than going to a gym. I
Really?
don't know if you find
and
that
and
experience, but I just
I gotta tell you something. When we started, I was so worried, like, how is this gonna work? How is he gonna be able to watch me from his home in Rocky River, 30 miles away?
Yeah.
And, I have a tripod set up and I put my iPad in there, and every so often I have to just adjust the positioning. But he can see everything. And he's able to say to me, if I'm doing, like a plank, and I'll say, okay, like, lift the stomach up a little bit. And he can see my form and
Wow.
it's worked out so well, but I was so doubtful when we started. I'm like, is this really gonna work? And it
So
has
you can't
worked
just
so
like
beautifully.
stand and eat popcorn in the corner and sneak it off. It's like
Oh,
they
no,
really watch you.
no, no, he can see he can see everything. It just
so, when you were training with a trainer before, was there a moment where you just said, I need a trainer? I need a change in my
oh,
life?"
Yeah. What was that moment where you changed something?
so in the summer 2014, first of all, I was sporting a hand injury. I had taken a
Okay.
fall and landed on my hand. I didn't break it, but I had soft tissue trauma, and I couldn't use it basically for several months. So going into this whole idea with my hand, um, I had had a conversation with my father-in-law, very well-meaning, and I really appreciated where he said, "You're so busy being a wife and mom, and you're so caught up with your kids, but like, what are you doing for you?" And he had
Yeah.
noticed that. And I said, "Well, you know what? I was thinking of starting to work with a trainer, but I don't think now's the right time because of my hand." And uh, a few days later, I called the JCC and I said, "Listen, I've got this hand injury. This is what's going on. Uh, Is this something I should wait a few months to do, or is it possible to start doing something now?" And they said, "We've got the perfect trainer for you. He can
Oh,
work around anything."
So
So we
you're
set
meaning
up,
to tell me your
yeah,
father-in-law basically noticed that you were not taking mental, physical, all of the s-
right.
spot. I don't know what's the
Look,
word I'm looking.
She wasn't
You
taking
know,
care of herself or paying
Yeah,
attention to
yeah,
herself.
it's
yeah.
yeah, it what I and I don't take it in a bad way or critical
Right.
way because he knows me well and, he saw the all the trials and tribulations that we would go through of, having 5 kids between, 12 and 19 and the
No, like,
stuff that
I give
went
him
and I
credit
was
for
so
that.
busy. And it came from such a good place. And, you know, he knowing that I didn't have a job, um, and I was, busy, but I didn't have something that was really mine. He said, "You need to do something for yourself and don't think of
Yes.
it as being selfish, it's being selfless." So I had the meeting with Jeff and he said he could work around the hand. And for the next few months, I mean, he was very creative in all the different things we did as part of the workout because I didn't compromise my hand in any way.
So you felt
And
like he
yeah,
with there whatever limitations you had.
Yeah.
absolutely. And ever since, I mean, there's times that I've had, um, overuse injuries. I broke my foot a few months into my starting the whole path with running. We were on a run together and I tripped on a step. There's a pattern here with my tripping and falling. And I wound up breaking my foot. And we continued to train in the 3 or so months where I couldn't really bear weight. I had my foot in a boot and he had me go on a recumbent bike and turn the pedal around so that my foot was on the bottom of sitting on the
Oh,
bottom of
he's
the pedal,
amazing.
and I would just do a little bit of a little bit of movement with that, and then, I would be doing I mean, this goes back, to kind of the beginning with all that. I just remember, I was still able to work out. I just had to, like, work around those things, and he's
Were
been
you
really, really great.
when you had a broken foot, were you like, "Are you crazy? You want me
Yeah,
to work
again,
out?
but
Don't I need to heal?"
Oh, no, see, at that point, I was so worried about what's gonna happen if I
Oh,
don't work out, like, I'm
Oh.
gonna put on weight, and, I had gotten to such a good place where I was active, and if I wasn't gonna be able to walk and run, which I wasn't allowed to do, if I would
what
have been
what
on my own and
happened?
not had a trainer, I wouldn't have had that knowledge to say, "Well, you can still do this, this, and
Mhm.
this."
Yeah,
Jeff has that expertise and the experience of being able to say, "Well, but we can still do this, this, and this."
Mhm.
So,
you're not making
Wow.
you didn't make an excuse is what I'm
no,
hearing. Like, you
I
were
was
like
terrified.
I've actually
And
talked to people before that are big runners or exercise people in general, and same thing, injury, and they panic. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna gain 25 pounds because I'm used to
mhm,
doing this or that," and you found something different to do.
yeah.
So, was he did he help you change that mindset, or did something
Yeah,
shift in
good
you?
question.
Or do you
Oh,
still have that fear?
he's noticed along the way, my obsession with my weight,
Oh.
this with the scale specifically, with my appearance, and I was really the one that decided several years later to um, cancel my subscription with my membership with Weight Watchers because I realized that it was just getting too much for me. He was noticing it for a long time, but
So
it
what do
was
you mean, like,
something
you
that I had to
became
do.
obsessive? Like, right
Like,
now, I'm
yeah.
going up, down, up, down the same point 8, and it's, like, beyond maddening. So, were you, like, at that point, or were you just like
Well, look, what happened was when I trained for my first half marathon, that was like in the summer of 2016, I think it was. And I do remember now, Jeff kept on saying to me, what you're weighing, which was the lowest I had been since I was in high school, he says, you're not going to weigh again. Like, because I was following a very rigorous training plan and I was also being more careful of my eating.
Mhm.
And I got down to this great number and then I went up a little bit. But then over time, I did start to um, put on some weight, and something
Mhm.
just changed in me where whether I had to get on the scale at the JCC when he was doing our assessments, or when I was getting on the scale at the doctor's office, or getting on the scale at the Weight Watchers locations, I was suddenly seeing the number as something that was defining me. So,
Mm.
when the weight like went up a little bit, I would hear, well, like you're putting on muscle. And I I think I just like freaked out. And especially those times when I would have to be sidelined with a broken foot, even though I was at a lower, weight then.
Did you
Um,
feel good though in your body? Like
I
if
was
you I mean,
starting
I
to.
know. Yeah, like you felt good and
Oh,
then you'd get on the scale and be like, "What the hell? 2 pounds." Like, was it like that kind of mental thought?
no, no.
Oh,
I
okay.
think, oh, yeah. Well, no, I think I would like get on the scale and see the number was up a little bit. Then it's like, oh, well, I can't go weigh in now because I had a gain. And
Mhm.
especially
Mm.
when it was a little bit later on and I was at a higher number, and it wasn't necessarily because I had put on muscle. I mean, part of it was I think I started to slack off a little with eating. So
Right.
I did put on some weight, and I was just, like playing these mind games like, well, I'm not going to go weigh in today. I'll just go in a few days and give myself some time to
Right.
hopefully lose that weight. I was active. I was, like working out. I was watching what I was eating, but it was just getting to a point
It
where
wasn't a healthy
I
relationship
yeah,
with the scale.
it's like the scale was defining whether I was a success or whether I was a failure.
Yeah. I think I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but like 90% of people listening relate to that. Don't you think, Kamra?
Oh, yeah. I think the fear is such a motivator, but I wish people could know, and myself included, that it's not a sustainable motivator, that
Right.
it just leaves you in a place of stress and worry rather than happiness that look how much I lifted or look how much I ran.
Mm.
Right.
And that should be more of a factor than I was just telling Leah before you got on, I'm working so hard and I've lost point 0.8. And it's maddening, but
Yeah.
Look at her
I
your reaction. I was like, "I'm mad for you, Kamna," and you clapped. So it's so interesting how
yeah.
our minds all work.
Yeah. We're motivated by fear, and that I think you're making a really good point.
Well, and I struggled with my weight from the time I was 17.
Mhm.
I put on 30 pounds during my year abroad, and that was the beginning of, my whole life with Weight Watchers. And
How old were you?
I was 17.
Okay.
I'd spent a year in Israel. It was like my senior year of high school, and when I came back, I was considerably heavier. And I went with a friend who also put on some weight, and her sister was getting married later in the summer. So we would go, and
Mhm.
we would, I think, weigh in, and then there was a drugstore a few feet down from the Weight Watchers Center, and we would get
Mhm.
candy bars, and then we would
Ah!
get all this junk and say, "Well, we
Yeah.
still got a week." We didn't
Yeah.
know what we were doing. We were
Yes!
17 years old,
I did the
and
same
I
thing.
didn't know how to budget the points and all that kind of stuff then. It's like, and I wasn't ready for that. So, needless to say, it wasn't a success for me. And I was in college, and I proceeded to, put on more weight. I was not active in any way. I got married. I did lose a little bit weight for our wedding, and I was heavy in the first few years that we were married. Again, not very active. We would take walks after dinner, maybe like 2 miles just to like spend time together. But I wasn't really doing exercising. And the truth is, I really wasn't ready at that time. Had I been given the opportunity to be active. And I tried all kinds of diets and quick fixes, and I went back and forth to Weight Watchers many times, and it it it, it didn't work for me because I wasn't in a good place, I think, mentally, really, to be able to
Mhm.
do it. And
Yeah.
I only lost some weight when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter. I was at my heaviest weight, and there was this pressure about not gaining so much weight because my husband and I are both big people, and we were told we're probably going to have a large baby, which, by the way, we didn't. She was 6 pounds 10 ounces, but I was so worried
Oh,
about the weight gain.
Yeah.
So that's what took me to realize, okay, I need to do something now. So I did start to eat three balanced meals then, and I was going to prenatal aerobics classes. And when I got on the scale, I think like a day or so after I gave birth to her, I had lost like 30 pounds. So it was weight that I
oh, wow.
technically should have been losing when I was pregnant for all those efforts, but it came off. Plus, I was nursing, and so then, over the I got pregnant with my son a few months later, and I would go on for the next few years with the pregnancies, but I was at a lower weight, but it was still considered overweight. And um I think
So
that,
since
yeah,
so since 17, you've been fighting the whole scale and the, "All right, let me try this, let me try that, let me try this,
right.
let me" Yeah.
And I've associated my self-worth with the scale.
Boy,
And that did
that's
shift
so
a few years,
relatable.
yeah,
I
and it's
think
only a
I'm
few
still
years
the
ago
yeah.
that I'm in a better place, so I will get on the scale. I weigh myself every day, but, like, I look at it, it's like, "Okay." I mean, it helps that I'm down to a weight now that it took
Makes
me
you
a few
smart,
years
yeah.
to revisit that again. But it's data right now.
Do
It's
you
not.
think
Yeah,
your mindset has shifted?
absolutely,
Was there a
absolutely.
point where you realized, "Oh, I don't feel that way anymore?" Or did you actively try to change it?
It took me quite a while to realize that there's other ways of seeing the efforts of your hard work. So it's not just the number on the scale. It could be, like when I do, Jeff measures me every few months, and when we see the difference in the numbers, and
Mhm.
the way clothes are fitting. Am able to see things in the mirror,
Mhm,
I used to be so afraid of the mirror when I was heavier. Like I, I, I hid behind bigger clothes, and
Mhm.
I I never wanted to take pictures. I still don't love taking pictures, but I was always like avoiding it at all costs.
hiding in the
And
back.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah.
With
And
the kids
you,
in front of
y-
you, that's what I do.
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm like, "Stand
yeah.
right
But
here."
what's nice now is, like, I get excited about things that I see and I tell him and he laughs, but it's like he's so happy when I say, "Oh my god, I have kneecaps again." Like, the flab that was under the kneecap for so long, it's gone, and I have shoulders from, doing the strength work that I'm doing, and I have a little definition. This is not something that I would have been able to say out loud and recognize and share that, like, maybe I would have been able to say to myself, but um, there's been some gain of confidence where I'm able to recognize, some of the good things that come
You're
with
proud
this.
of yourself.
I guess so. Yeah.
That's such a
there's
good
still
thing.
there's still that stumbling. It's still a
Yeah.
little hard. It's a process, and I'm not totally there, but I've come a long way where I went shopping in my closet last week,
Oh,
which was great. And I have some weddings coming up, and I hate the idea of going into a store, and if there
Mhm.
are stores anymore that you can shop at, but
Yeah.
trying on clothes and then feeling rejected when something doesn't fit that you think would.
yeah.
So
That's
that's
so true.
yeah,
You do feel
yeah,
rejected.
yeah. So I
Like,
tried
something's
on some
rejecting you,
things,
but what, you know?
and I don't even know what came over me because I was not wearing the shapewear. I was not wearing hose. I just started trying on some dresses for some of these weddings coming up, and I'm like, wow, I haven't worn this dress since 2017,
Oh my
and it
god, what an
fits.
amazing feeling.
So
Wow.
it's, I mean, and it's all due to, you know, the work that I'm doing. So
Yeah.
it
So
sort
I
of gives
wanna
me
break
incentive
down
to
the
continue.
sorry.
Mhm.
I wanna break down the work that you're actually doing because it sounds like you were a very normal mom. Obviously, you had more kids to be normal with, but you're a normal mom, busy with their life, a little bit doing your own thing and trying to manage, but and you made this call, and then now what is the part of your routine that you think is actually helping you to stay fit, stay healthy, and keep your weight in a reasonable range for you.
Wait, before that, did you start 3 days a week? Your first month? Was it
My
like
first
how
month of
many?
working out
Yeah, yeah. How many
way
days do you
back
think you
then.
started?
Well, when we first started, we were doing half-hour training
Okay,
sessions, and I
okay,
think it was 2 days a week. And
okay,
then
good.
Oh,
once my
Okay,
hand injury was better and I was able to use it, I think then we switched to an
okay.
hour.
I'm gonna pretend I have a hand injury, so I can do half hour 2 days a week. That sounds
that's
doable
pretty
in
oh,
my
yeah.
mind.
You
Does
could do
that
it.
sound doable?
Absolutely, you could do
And
it.
I
Okay.
like, I'm trying to remember, like, I don't know what I was doing then. I think I was working out with him and maybe I was starting to walk. Like,
Yeah.
I started to get into spinning a few years later as a means of cross
Oh.
training. It's his fault that I got into swimming for a little bit of time as another form of cross training because that was something when he brought it up and he said it's a, not impact type of workout. I was like, I haven't put on a bathing suit in public in decades. Like
Mhm.
Yeah.
he's like, what do you worry about? Who's gonna look? Okay.
Mm.
And I remember and I hadn't been in a pool, so it's like, how am I gonna be able to swim? Do I remember how to do this? Because I haven't
Yeah.
Right.
actually gone swimming since I was a kid. So I put on the bathing suit and I realized as I went out from the ladies' locker room into the big indoor pool, like no one was looking because everyone was busy doing their own thing,
Right.
Yeah.
and it that came back to me. Um, but in those early years, I mean, at the very beginning, I think we were training twice a week, and I was probably walking, not very much, not to the extent that I'm
Yeah.
doing now. I think that over time, things um, progressed with the different things that I was doing and the intensity. So, the running was introduced in like May of 2015. So once I started with that, I was running, a few times a week. Most of the time I was doing it on my own. I was running through the neighborhood like 3 to 4 miles. And then of course he suggested the idea, the 10K and
Wow.
eventually the
So,
half marathon.
now what was your original question before I
I
interrupted?
well, I wanted to know what are you doing now as part of your routine
Okay.
that you think is keeping you healthy and fit and your weight in a reasonable range?
Okay, so I probably work out around an hour and a half a day, if not all at once.
Oh,
It may be
Oh,
broken
okay.
up. Um, some days it may be 2 hours, but it could include walking. Um, on a day like today, I did the walking first, and then I did the run. And when I went out for the run, I figured, all right, and I'll do a minimum of 3 miles. I'll see how it goes. But I didn't feel like I had to um, do too much because I had walked and I didn't want to risk paying the price for it later by doing
But
too
you
much.
you like it.
Yeah.
You actually enjoy
Oh,
it
I
now.
do. Yeah, I do. Um, these days, like I do have more flexibility with my time because we're empty nesters and um, I could either go outside for a walk or for a run, or I could go downstairs and the nice thing, with Peloton is you can do live classes or you can find something at any time of day and pick
Oh,
something.
sure. Yeah.
And so, like, let's say tomorrow I do have my training session with Jeff at 9 o'clock, and we wind up schmoozing for the first like 20 minutes or so. So we have about like 40 minutes or so of actually, like working out. I will probably do either like maybe a half hour walk before that or after that and then I will do a spinning class on Peloton. If I'm doing the walk beforehand,
So
I'll do the spinning a little bit later.
it
So
sounds
I
like
have
to
the freedom.
you, yeah, it sounds more different to me. It sounds like your activity and exercise is the same as you brushing your teeth. Like, it's not something you
Oh,
just
it's
don't wanna
it's
do.
right.
You just do
Oh,
it.
yeah. I mean it's a part of my routine, as you would say.
Yeah.
And
are there days where you're like, "Oh, nah, I can't. I'm not working out."
Um, Look, on Sunday, we're gonna be flying, out of town for a wedding, and we're leaving probably around 6 o'clock in the morning to go. Now, I could get up at 4 o'clock and go
Yeah.
downstairs, but I don't think I'm going to because it's gonna be a really long day, and I think that I would probably pay the consequences after. So
Mhm.
I am gonna give myself grace and say, "All right, you know what? We're gonna be at a wedding and I'll be moving around and
Yeah.
dancing and it'll have to be okay."
But other than that, you basically do it as part of your daily
Every
routine.
day I'm usually doing something. So Saturdays, I usually walk with a friend here. We'll take, we walk together and it's a great way to be together um and yeah, I mean
Wow.
I don't
That's
really do if I'm doing 90 minutes, I'm not doing like consistent 90. I do break it up a little bit and, I'll do a little stretching in between and give myself a little rest in between. And it really depends on my schedule. I mean, I feel very fortunate that most of the time I have flexibility where I can pretty much decide what it is I'm going to do and when. But
Do
also
you
sometimes have to work around things. So.
and you work out with weights also?
Yeah. I mean, when I do my training with Jeff, um, it it always involves the TRX weights. It could be different. I mean, like there's
but it's a
yeah.
strength training, basically.
It focuses a lot on strength and mobility,
Mhm.
and um, but it's everything. So it could be there's upper body, but there's some moves that are for core. There's some lower body stuff. And
What's a
because I
TRX? I know what
TRX is
yeah,
it's
what
a
is that?
suspension training device. Um,
Oh,
oh, it's amazing.
really?
Like
I gotta
they had the gym. Oh yeah, so I had it mounted on my ceiling, and you can also put it over a door if you have it in carefully. But it's a way of doing strength training that it's not really with weights. You're using your body weight for it.
Okay.
do you
So
have
I
one of
do
those,
like
Gemma?
No.
No?
so
I was gonna invite myself over and try it.
well,
I
you
I need
come on
to.
over to my
Okay.
house and
Okay.
I'll introduce you to it.
Interesting.
And then
TRX.
how much do you watch what you eat?
Oh, that's
I watch what I eat. I mean, look, I'm not perfect, and I do track what I'm eating on my Fitness Pal, and then once a
oh,
week
you
I send
do?
it to Jeff. But
Oh.
it's not like um he ever comes back and says, "Well, you had too many carbs."
Wait, do you track every day?
I do, and I'd like to think that I mean, I'm honest and I'm accountable. Is it
Yeah.
100% accurate? I don't know. Especially if if you're eating out, there's no way of knowing really
Oh, yeah.
what's in there. So I try to be as accurate as possible. But, like he came back about 2 weeks ago and said, "Now that you're doing a little bit more lifting and I see what you're tracking, you really need to have a little bit more protein to help with, when you're doing the lifting and the strength work." And, give yourself that allowance. So that was
Do you
very
think that
helpful.
do you think that's part of it, like, that you have to send somebody your food? That's, like I've never thought of that. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a diary that I keep. It's like I'm
Yeah.
just, so what I write it on my Fitness Pal, and then I on the notes page of my phone each day I'm writing, how many calories, what I did in terms of my activity, and the grams of fat, the macros and all that.
Yeah.
I have to tell him like how many hours I slept, how
Oh,
my
wow.
stomach was
Oh,
without getting into
wow.
detail, because there's so many factors that go into, you know, if you have a weight gain, it's not necessarily because of the food that you ate. You can have inflammation. You could have had
Wow,
something with
he
a lot
wants
of
to know
sodium.
that's amazing. What come
It's
did you have to send
guidance.
any of that?
No.
No? Would
And
it
it's
be hmm.
it's funny because you know what? When I was on Weight Watchers, what I didn't like for so long was that tracking, and I chose the core and the Simply Filling program for a
'Cause you
long,
didn't
long
yeah.
time, and I was successful on it, but it was, like doing the healthy grains and the
Right.
healthy proteins and eating until satisfied.
Mhm.
But sometimes, I could have like 3 cups of, a cooked sweet potato,
Yeah.
because it was allowed and you weren't counting points for that. And eventually I shifted to the tracking way of doing it, but I kept on saying, it's a lifestyle. I'm treating it as a lifestyle. It's not a diet until it wasn't. But that was my own doing with being so obsessed with the scale. And it's interesting because, what I'm doing today, someone could look at that and say, this is a diet and it's very, very programmed. I don't look at it this way because it's data. It's
Mhm.
he could come back and say, wait a second, on this day, you burned, X amount of calories. You probably should have had an extra 200 calories to eat.
Mhm.
So it's a way of communicating where he can help me determine if I need a little bit more. It would have helped to eat a little bit less. And I really
So
don't
good to know.
feel that it's a burden, to do that. It's very, very helpful, if anything.
What is your favorite protein to eat? Or, proteins, I guess I should say, so people can get an
Um,
idea.
I like a good steak.
Okay.
I like a hamburger with a bun,
Okay.
some mayonnaise. And what's interesting is for a really long time, I was not having red meat because I had had my gallbladder out and I was so worried about like what it was doing to
Yeah.
me. And I remember one day he said, like, expand your protein a little bit, expand your healthy fats. And I was so scared to try it. And nothing really happened when I did it, from a
Mhm.
digestive standpoint. And, I eat chicken, fish. I probably have like
Okay.
salmon 5 out of 7 days a week for my lunch.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Okay.
Mhm. Um, I don't eat cheese at all. I really don't eat dairy because
Is that
I don't like
choice
cheese.
or
I
no,
don't like
okay.
cheese at all, and I have, GI issues, so
Okay.
dairy is not, like, the best thing for me, but, I he's taught me that it's okay to have nuts, as a snack. Just weigh it, like, don't go
Mhm.
crazy with it because it could be so easy to a handful turns into 2
Yeah.
handfuls. So I'm still doing the measuring of that, but I don't look at what I'm doing as a diet. I there's flexibility there. I'm not always perfect once in a while. I might have ice cream.
Good for you.
That's
Or
so
I
good
might
to
have a
know.
cookie.
Good
And
for you.
I
Yeah.
track it, but it's like I don't think that I could be so restrictive.
Yeah.
And then the activity that I'm doing for a long time, I thought of it as something that was um the reward when I was following Weight Watchers that it's like, okay, I'll get to eat that much more
Right.
because I earned it. Or I ate too much, so I have to burn the calories in order to
Mhm.
make up for that.
Yeah.
And now it's just, working out, what I'm doing is just a natural part of my life. And I really don't think of it as something of a burden or a negative. Like I get up in the
Mhm.
morning and I usually have my clothes laid out, to do my run. And for a long time, I did have that mindset of, I have to run. And, um, there was a lot of bouts with, losing my motivation and I
Yeah.
had to find a way to get it back. But a
Yeah.
few years ago, I did shift my mindset to realize, you know what? I'm not the same runner I was when I started. And I need to look at it as something that I can experience and think of as something I get to do. And my runs are so much better now, especially, outside. And, I'm more aware of what I'm doing and what I'm seeing.
I don't think we asked this, and if you don't wanna answer, you don't have to. How old are you?
I'm 57.
Okay.
No.
I'm
Oh my God.
57 too.
I want to know your skincare routine.
I've been trying lots of different things. Before we run
Um,
out of
Yeah.
go ahead.
So this is so weird. Like you started when you were my age and you're Kamna's age right now. Isn't that crazy?
And she has
Anyway,
grandchildren.
sorry.
And
Yeah,
the bread.
5. 5 kids too.
Um,
Okay.
so I wanna touch on something before we talk about your book before we run out of time, but if you were to give someone advice who feels stuck in their life and it's too late for me, I can't make a change, I'm set in my ways, what would you say to them?
I hate
It,
exercise.
it's never too late. If there is something that you want to do, in my case, it was running. But if there's something that you wish that you can do, take that step and give it a try. I wasn't ready to do this in my 20s. I can say I wish I had been doing this longer, but I wasn't in a good place to do that.
Yeah,
And when I was
fair
at the
point.
point where that I needed as much as it needed me, it's just been this uh, journey, and it's had a lot of ups and downs and highs and lows. But I'm so grateful that I made that decision, and I'm sure that I thought about the it's probably too late or I'm too old.
Mhm.
I think I was more worried about it being too hard.
Yeah,
That running was something that was so out of my realm, and there's been so many things that Jeff has um, challenged me to do or told me to do.
Yeah.
Um,
yeah,
but it's really about going deep within yourself and telling yourself you have to at least give it a try. I think
right.
I was always so afraid of trying things. And this whole journey has taught me that I need to at least be willing to open myself up to the possibilities. And I think for
Yeah,
anyone out there,
So good.
it's not just saying right away, this is not for me." You don't know until you try it. So
right.
it could be fitness, it could be taking up some kind of hobby that you're thinking of doing. Um, it could
You
be
gotta try
anything.
it.
Mhm.
Just gotta try it.
Wow, I love that message. It's just
Yeah.
take one step to trying.
Right.
Your book, Embracing My Inner Athlete, is coming out soon, right?
Next Tuesday, yeah.
Is it your first
Yeah.
book?
Uh, no. Um, I I actually when my kids were little, I wrote a book of, parenting experiences, sort of stories about my kids. And
Oh.
it was really like more for our family and friends. And,
Mm.
I think it's still out there, but it was just, fun experience. I've written personal stories of pregnancy loss. I was part of a book written by experts in the field, and they had asked me to write the chapter from the personal perspective. So I did that. I had had three
Oh
pregnancy
boy.
losses. I had
Oh,
one
wow.
before my first child, and then I had some in between. And at the time they had happened, there really weren't resources out there, and people didn't talk about it. So when I was approached about writing this chapter, it really allowed me to try to be the every person who's gone through this, and think of people out there also, given my experience, and give them a voice.
Yeah, that had to be emotional
Nice.
for sure.
Yeah.
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 And this
Thanks.
this new book, what is it about?
Embracing my inner athlete is my story of starting when I was 46, making that decision to start working with Jeff, but more importantly, it's a running a fitness journey, but it's really a journey about me, and how I went from lacking that self-confidence and being so afraid to try, to doing the things I've been able to do, but like opening myself up to possibilities, and realizing that the things that seem so hard, if you try them, they may not be quite as hard as you thought.
Wow.
Beautiful message.
Really
Mm,
is, truly.
We would love to do a 5-minute quick speed round with you of
okay,
questions. Just
okay.
we're just gonna
Okay.
take your answer off the cuff.
All right.
Leah had one for you.
Yes. I'm sorry. We could delete it if you don't like it. When you started running, did you ever pee while you run? You had 5 kids. I have 2, and I pee when I
Oh,
run to the
I think it's
mailbox.
happening more these days than it was
Okay.
then.
But it's that does happen.
I know what happens to people. Can I actually recount the exact moment? I'm sure there's been a
Wow,
little
it's not
leaking or
it's
something.
not hard for you, though. It's not something that every single time.
Well, look, I can tell you, especially when I'm doing a race, the amount
Yeah.
of times that I go back and forth to the bathroom,
Okay.
Oh,
my husband looks at me like, "You're going again?" So I could be
Yeah.
at my house and I purposely don't drink or eat anything before a race
yeah.
because I'm so worried about that. So I'll go a handful of times at home and then wherever we are, for a race, there's always porta potties, and I'm making sure like I'm going, "Oh, wait a second. There's no line. I'm going to go again." And the race is going to start in
Oh,
15 minutes. I should probably go again. Um
because okay.
yeah.
That makes me feel a
Yeah.
little bit better. Okay.
I
If
mean, look,
you
I was gonna say, the reason why I broke my foot, when I first got into running and I was like doing so well is Jeff and I were at a metro park and doing a run and we were doing what's called mile repeats where you do a mile at a certain pace and then you recover and then you do this, mile again. And we were supposed to be doing 3 miles all together. And we had done the first two and I said, I gotta go to the bathroom. And he said, then why don't you just wait until we're done? Come on, it's like, you know, 10 or 12 minutes. I'm like, no, I really have to go. So I went to the restroom at Acacia and I was so quick because I felt like, oh my God, he's waiting for me. And
You're right.
I came out of the bathroom and he'll do this whole imitation of what I look like. I'm like, like
Yeah.
this. And I tripped on a step and went down and, wound up breaking my foot.
oh my goodness.
Yeah. Okay, what was your random question?
After you run, do you get really hungry?
I think I'm more thirsty than hungry.
Okay.
I think it's more about like needing to hydrate and sort of like replenish. Um, I mean, I make sure to eat something because especially
Mhm.
I haven't eaten beforehand, but I don't necessarily feel the hunger. I think it's more the thirst.
Okay.
Do you get the runner's high that people talk about? I don't know who those people are, but I'm not
I mean,
I'm not
sometimes I do feel like this adrenaline high, and
okay, yeah.
it's not every time. I certainly don't feel it quite as much with when I'm running on the treadmill
Yeah.
because I'm by myself and it's like no one's there. And the truth is, no one's
Okay.
there when I'm coming back from a run. But there is most of the time when I'm finishing a run, like I did this morning, there is that like that adrenaline rush that I get,
Okay.
like you know this boost of
Is
energy.
a thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Kamala. Did you have another one?
Um, this is a very personal question again, but that's what we do here. Do you ever get chafing from running?
Oh,
Do
good
you
one.
have like special lotions or
I've
cream?
only had it one time that I know of, and of course it was in the chest area, and
Oh,
you know everyone suggests this like body glide, and I used it, and I've been pretty lucky that I haven't
Okay.
experienced it really more than that because I do hear stories of people that
Yeah.
deal with it, and it's horrible. My
mhm.
big fear right now is um, being out and not getting bitten by a tick because I know it's big tick
Right.
season right now, and I'm just so terrified of that.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that
yeah.
I've heard. I saw a
Wow, I
headline.
didn't even think of that one. Like, cause
Yeah.
I just
And it could be anywhere. It could be just like running through my neighborhood. It could happen. I hope to get on the trail sometime this summer with Jeff because that's something he introduced me to and I really love doing. But I looked on Amazon for special like running shirts and pants that are made for like
pick
repellent, and I bought some off. And of course, when I went out this morning, I didn't even think about like spraying myself. It's
yeah.
probably gonna sit there until it gets old. Yeah.
Ugh,
Mhm.
that's another reason why I don't run. There we go.
I have 2
But
more questions.
there's so much more to it. Like, there
Okay.
Oh,
are
yeah.
rewards,
Yeah.
so
I
Yeah.
gotta
yeah.
get there. Okay, what was your other 2?
No,
Calm down.
if you can go ahead.
No, I don't, I'm good.
I have 2 questions. So, how often do you replace your running shoes?
Oh, gosh, that's good.
Um, I I I would say probably, like, every 6 to 8 months these days. I mean, I just threw out a pair now because I was seeing, like, some holes and tears inside the shoes. So,
Okay.
um, I don't keep track of it, and I know there's a way of doing it, but I
Mhm.
think it's more about, like, time.
Okay.
Is your favorite place to run on a track or on the cement or in the on the trails?
You didn't say treadmill.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
or treadmill, sorry.
okay, I do not like the track. So, it's
Okay.
Oh,
just yeah. I
okay.
mean, there
It's
was a period of
boring
time
or
where well, when I was doing the track at the JCC, it's this, like, roundabout thing,
Mm,
and Jeff was having me do it as part of my training for one of our races, and he knew how much I hated it because I was so worried about, like, passing people and running
yeah.
around them and keeping up with the time. And I've run on, the track at the local high school once or twice just to see what it's like, but it didn't do it for
Not your
me.
thing.
Look, I love using the Peloton treadmill now with a program. I don't love it when I'm just on a treadmill and I'm listening necessarily to music and I have to do a longer
Mhm,
distance because that could be boring. So I do like when I'm doing a class on it on the treadmill. But being outside, I'm enjoying it so much more now. And I have
mhm.
to remind myself that I enjoy it because sometimes I get to this phase where I'm sticking to the inside and not going out. But then once I go out, it reminds me of like,
Yeah,
why haven't I been doing this? Because there's so
yes,
much more to see and do when you're out there. You're not seeing this on a treadmill, just doing the same thing
absolutely.
over and over again. But, you know, and the trails, that's a whole different world. I mean, once you go inside the woods and you got to be super, super careful
Right.
about, you know, all the debris and everything, but it's um in a way it's sort of an escape because you really have to like be so focused and leave everything behind and I really enjoy doing that.
That's
Mm,
fantastic. Wow.
no.
Makes me
And
wanna
the
go
funny
take a
thing is
run.
with the trails, like sometimes you're going into the streams and I used to be so afraid of like getting wet. These days it's like I'm embracing it. Like, okay.
Oh,
I'll
Wow!
yeah. And
Good for you.
going through the mud and going up the hills and it's like so out of my comfort zone. But
Good for
I've
you.
learned to really like it. Yeah.
You're amazing. You should be
Thank
so
you.
proud of yourself.
Thank
Really,
you.
truly,
Thank you.
truly.
we clearly could have asked you so many more questions
I
because your
know.
life
So
is
many things.
so interesting and so fascinating. It was really hard
Thank
for
you.
us to stay focused, but thank you so much for sharing your
Thank you
Thank
time with
so
you.
us
much. We'll
and
Thank
share
your
your
you.
book.
knowledge.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Definitely gonna get the
Thank
book.
you.
I
This
wanna
was
read it
so
for
great to
sure.
talk to you both.
Yes,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
All right.